What's up, y'all? Welcome back to From the Ground Up. I am so pumped for today's episode because I get to introduce you to someone I deeply respect, Dr. Shaun Astorga. Shaun is a brilliant PT who is not only board certified, but he's actually lived this stuff. After dealing with a brutal brain and neck injury and getting dismissed by a bunch of providers, he basically said, nope, I'm figuring things out myself. And he did. Now he runs AMP Performance Rehab, where he helps people who feel totally stuck in pain, even after seeing other doctors or PTs, and actually helps them start to heal. He's worked with athletes at the highest levels, but what I love most is how grounded and thoughtful he is and how he treats real humans, and also his sense of humor. You're going to learn so much from him, so let's dive in. Shaun, I am so happy to have you. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, Becky. That's a great intro. I'm going to steal that for anything I do going forward. It's better than anything I could have come up with.
I'll send it to you and you can steal it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I always like to start, whenever I have a guest, I always like to start with why, because that's a concept that I tend to talk about a lot and that I believe in, is that as leaders and as clinicians, it's so important that we start everything with our why. And so I've heard you tell this story before about your past brain and neck injury and how that not only drives how you show up, but also why. So I would love to hear, if you're comfortable sharing, how did that specific experience shape your why? And how does that kind of still show up in how you lead your team today?
Yeah, for sure. And again, I'm very open to discussing anything about this. So if any follow-up questions, all that stuff, it's all on the table. So please don't hold back. But essentially, April 2017, two heavy boxes, they fell off a cabinet. I was just like making coffee at work and looked down, and then there they were. They hit me in the back of the head. There's like so much irony because like I played like football, basketball, like all these sports, work with athletes, and then like this is the thing that does it. Essentially, like I ended up with like you said, a concussion and an upper cervical injury, and it didn't heal like you would typically expect. And I was ultimately out of work for a year, in a large part due to I would call it medical mismanagement. I do believe that medical professionals, they do the best they can with their skill set and the system that they work in. But like I believe that ultimately that is what it came down to. And that experience really taught me about how siloed the medical system is, and how a lot of practitioners, they're not necessarily solution oriented or goal oriented in terms of like what the patient, or in this case me, was trying to get back to. And I felt like ultimately, like after getting kind of like tossed around from different specialists, that there wasn't really a place for someone like me in the medical system. And what I mean by that is like no one really, like everything was about like, when can I go back to work? Everything was about the symptoms, but nothing was like, okay, Shaun, like here you are as a person. You are someone who is a runner. You're a PT that works with athletes. Like, what do you want to get out of this? Like simple questions, right? And during that time, the injury, like it really kind of forced me to take a hard look at my life and how I was living essentially. And I was kind of like in hustle mode, like chasing all the courses I could, learning everything I could nonstop just to like get better at my craft. My craft. My craft, there's probably a lot of that in there too. Oh, yeah, whatever that means. But yeah, but both basically.
Well, this is pelvic PTs listening, so yeah. We're all about the craft here.
Perfect. Yeah. So there's some of that in there. And then, ultimately like burning the candle from both ends. And like when I took a step back, right? Like it's obviously not sustainable strategy, and in a weird way, and like not to get like super woo-woo, but like that to me was like the universe telling me like we need to change here, right? So
yeah.
Again,
we love a woo-woo.
Yeah, a little woo-woo. I'm very woo-woo. Yeah, if you want to get weird, yeah. But it pushed me to ask like a lot of tough questions, and ultimately like the why, right? Like what do I care about as a human? Like what does my ideal like situation look like? My ideal life look like? Like what are the things that I want to be doing on a day-to-day and all that kind of stuff, right? Like my health, being present in the things I'm doing, like hanging out with my wife and my family, like all of that kind of stuff. And ultimately like that was like a big awakening for me as a person, and then ultimately it bled into professional, right? So that's like where AMP kind of came from, because that's like now the vehicle that allows me to bring that vision to life.
I literally love it. I also could keep going all on the why. Do you feel like you launched AMP from that why, or did you launch AMP and then later on kind of tie it back in and that strengthened AMP?
So I started AMP first to make sure that like a person like myself has a place in the medical system, right? Like super active, like I am very like motivated type person. Like I do a lot of things that like I think are good for my health. Like I need a place where someone gets me and can like take me, give me the guidance that I'm looking for. But second was also the situation I was kind of in, found myself in as a PT, is like I wanted to create a place that PTs could work out where they could thrive and where they can use their skill set to help people and to be proud and of like what the work they're doing and something that aligns with their values as a practitioner. Because that's a big thing that like I had trouble with, as a PT, but also before like my prior career, I worked in the finance world, was that like kind of like, what am I doing? Like, how does this align with like like
Yeah.
me as a person, basically, So from a
Mhm.
core value standpoint, I guess is the way to kind of say that. Well,
Yeah. How the heck would someone in finance like have a why for finance? I don't know. I'm sure they exist out there, but my husband, he's not finance necessarily, but he's a background of corporate. He's like data stuff. I don't know. And he's not in corporate anymore. He is out of it and he helps me with Genesis and with kind of this stuff and everything now and is super dad mode, but he was like, "I have to get out of this because I don't feel like I care about it," And so it's just funny that you mentioned that because you did come from finance and then switched careers to PT. And was that because of your injury and experience, or had you already become a PT?
already became a PT at that point, but it's the same underlying thing, right? Is that alignment, right? Is not there. Like ironically, like as a business owner, like all the skills that I learned in that field are like way more relevant now because like that's just how my brain works. Very logical, analytical, like give me data and I can make decisions. Like so like I took all that stuff, but there wasn't like a bigger purpose for me. And like we need money, like we need like goals and all that kind of stuff. But like to me, that's not a long-term kind of fuel, right? To drive motivation. Like once you have that, it's like, okay, where's the motivation going to come from kind of thing. So, that would be like the underlying kind of tie there, I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all that. I always like my listeners to hear these strong clinicians and business owners and all of them that I've talked to, and I would consider myself in that, we all have this like deeper underlying thing that's driving us more than just, oh, I'm going to launch a business or, I'm going to become a PT to help people, which is not a bad thing, but it's like there's just this extra umph that I've picked up on in a lot of these clinicians and business owners. So I always like to share that. So thanks for sharing that story.
Yeah, 100%. And even to that, like I don't see patients currently. Like it was a very conscious decision for like what was best for like AMP where we're at right now and like growing our mentorship side of the business and all those types of things. And a lot of people, like when I talk to my friends, they can't get their head around it. Like it's like my identity is gone. I'm like, not at all. Like because the underlying thing behind it is like this is why I started this company in the first place. And it's like, how do we like exponentially expand like reach? It's like that's the thing. We're still doing the thing, right? I'm still helping people in a way that it like resonates, and like that's the bigger kind of why for me. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that statement that I've heard or that quote that's like, you can't scale yourself, but you can scale your systems. And so that's what I've kind of seen you do just, virtually in the time that I've known you online. But it's like you've created this system to where you can like, I don't want to say duplicate yourself because no one can duplicate themselves, but like you've been able to train your team on this methodology, this framework, this system so that you as a team and a company can actually help way more people than just Shaun could have helped. And so I just think that's like no easy feat as someone who also has a team and feels like every single day I'm like, what is happening? But it's like, that is not easy. It is not easy. And so, first of all, kudos to you because you are doing it. And I see you doing it online. But that also brings me into kind of my next question is your team that I see over social media and that I hear you talking about, it just feels different to me. It's like you don't just have a group of employees who kind of clock in and clock out, it seems like and it sounds like they're bought in. And I can tell you've given them something to buy into. So I'd love to kind of hear about that. Like, how did you move from like just Shaun to building a team and then from like not creating this culture of just employees who are just at a job, but like people who are building something with you and who believe in what your vision is?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for saying that. We're trying. So, yeah, like so when we started, right, like it was just me for a while, and then now she's my business partner, Monica. But at the time, she like kind of like came on as like an independent contractor, then right full time employee, then like again partner, just in the sense like there are different. I get pulled in a lot of directions, right? And like, so bringing someone in who has like the time to do certain things and run our operations and like all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So like getting people like bought into the culture and all of that kind of stuff, like what I've learned through that process with just Monica and me was that a lot of things come down to me and my perspective and my viewpoint as like the leader or the founder, right? And that's something that like I continuously work at is understanding why I believe the things I believe or why I feel resistance when I'm faced with like a challenge in like the business or something along those lines. And then like why I'm saying this is because it always for me comes back to okay, like what grounds me? That's going to be like our core values as a company, right? Like what are like our bigger mission, our bigger why? Like what is the vision of AMP? Like what do like 10 years down the
Mm-hmm.
road, what does this look like? So those are like kind of like the grounding things. And then as we started to hire, right? Like what we've learned is that the culture that we have at AMP, like that's the thing that we have to protect. And like a lot of our marketing for like team members, right, is very oriented towards people who have like an ownership mindset. I just learned recently they're called intrapreneurs. Like I didn't know that was a thing. And I was
Yes,
like
I have
trying to
heard
like
that.
yeah, like operationalize people. I'm like we have all these great people. Like what are the skill sets that they have? And like it kind of comes down to that. Is they're very much people who like own the situation. So a big focus of ours earlier this year was kind of we call it the AMP standard is like defining what these things mean for us. And then again, it comes back to like core values. Like they just kind of show up like in everything that we do and how we approach things. So making sure people are aligned with that. And then the way that I view my role as like the founder or like the leader is that my job is essentially to define and uphold what the standard is to like be like live the core values and to keep everybody's eyes focused on the mission at all times. Like just keep reminding people of what that is.
Yeah. That's in particular is something that I've really learned over the past, I don't know, I would say year or 2 years of how important that role is that you just described of who is the person that's consistently keeping our eyes like over there, like on the horizon, on the prize in the future. And I used to feel like, I was like, dang, I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over. And like, are they getting annoyed? Are they over it? They already know I can stop saying it. And it's like, it wasn't until I really, with my business partner, I have a really similar story of like, she was my first hire and grew into my, first director and COO and now business partner and all the things. She really got me onto the idea of there's usually in a great partnership more of the visionary in the integrator role, and it is the visionary who that's your one job. Like your one job is to keep your eye on the prize and make sure the team has it in their sights constantly and like does not forget it. And that means saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over because it is that important. And like people need like that's what they do in sports. It's like you're talking about the World Series, right? Like everyone's trying to get to the World Series and win that game and you keep your eye on that, in the future. And so would you say have you heard like visionary and integrator? Have you heard that like those roles?
Yeah, like so that's like our approach to hiring and like team building is that like my role and Monica's role is very much kind of mirrors that. It's not like a perfect like we fit nicely into those boxes, but like there's overlap in some capacities. Our roles are defined, but like there's we have different skills that fall within. But yeah, very much so. Like even how do we keep our like admin staff and our client care coordinator, our marketing staff, like how do we keep them in line with the vision? Because as a clinician, and like we see it, right? Like I literally work with this person, we are changing their life, you know? So it's like even on our team meetings, it's like we literally start with well, we have our weekly learning, which I just rambled about something like hopefully
I love
interesting.
it. I love it though.
And then we go into our wins of the week, patient wins of the week. And we can like share these stories so that like, yes, it's great and we love talking about it, but it's so that our like marketing staff can see like all the time she spent like on like learning Google ads, and like that person found us because of that ad, came into our world, and like this is their trajectory now. Like that person that Anna, like our client care coordinator, talked to on the phone, they like now like, oh wow, Becky called me and I talked to her and she was in this place that was not so great. And then like now hearing this, like that's pretty cool. So it's like kind of keeping like these are just like, I guess, tactical ways that we kind of do it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. It's like one team, one dream for sure. I love it. So I wanted to ask because personally, how I came across you, I think was probably, it was social media, probably some post about the foot and internal rotation and some biomechanics thing. And you're known for biomechanics. And I would imagine people tend to find you through a lot of that education that you put out there. But what I've learned about you over the couple years that I've followed you and like learned more about you and gotten to know you better is it really is way beyond biomechanics, but biomechanics are important. And so I would love to kind of hear from your perspective, like it is more than biomechanics. So what do you actually mean by that? And how does that shift how you and your team kind of show up for patients, eval, treat, all the things?
Yeah, it's funny how social media works is because like that's how people know me. And it's like the thing I don't want to say I care least about, but like when it comes to working with patients, it's like it is like a factor, but like you said, there's just like so much to it. When you all you look at is the movement component of things, you're missing like a huge part of the like the bigger picture and all the things that are potentially impacting a person, right? Like their general like behaviors, their beliefs even about pain in their situation, but the beliefs that like even brought them into to like finally come seek help, all that type of stuff, their environment, like all of those types of things. And ultimately like they're seeking help for something. So when we can come back to like when a person comes in, for example, and they have this issue, like our job is to be able to help connect dots for them so that we can, you know, ultimately like be like, you have this goal and like you have this problem, like here's what we are seeing, like here's what I think the path forward looks like how does that sound, right? Versus like what a lot of people like, or at least how it's portrayed kind of on social media, is that like everything is about like before after pictures and restoring joint motion and like all that kind of stuff. Like those things are important from like the movement side of things, but like a patient doesn't care about that unless they're like, you know, a fellow PT or something along those lines. So when I talk about it from that perspective, I'm really thinking about holistically, like what are all of the things that make this person who they are, and like ultimately that have brought them into the current situation that I'm seeing, so I can understand that at a high level, and then we can kind of pull on some of the levers that we need to move them in the right direction. The biomechanics will probably be the short-term thing that we can modify that is going to get them to feel better, but there needs to be a long-term strategy to bridge the gap there.
How do you train your people in that? Because that's been the hardest part for me is like getting it out of my head because I feel like it comes naturally to me, you know, and I'm not saying I'm perfect or amazing or whatever. You know, I've learned a lot along the way with experience, but the hardest part for me has been helping my team and even like other clinicians that I coach and I mentor and stuff. It's like getting it out of my head and giving it to them in a way that, you know, instead of me just being like, you see what I'm saying? Like, can't you read my mind, you know, and understand my thought process? It's like, how do we actually help these clinicians? Yes, learning the biomechanics, but it also is such a bigger picture. I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with is teaching others to think this way.
Yeah. Well, we have the one benefit of our current mentorship program as it stands. But to your point, like one thing that we have learned, and you're going to see me start talking about this after we launch our final cohort here of AMP
Well, I've
Blueprint.
already seen something, and I'm like, what is it,
Yeah,
Shaun?
we're in tease mode. It's great because like I don't really know exactly what it is either, but like I have an idea.
Yes, yes, for
But
sure.
essentially, you know, it's exactly that. Like, how do I operationalize what we do at AMP so that a clinician, like literally, like I mean, you've take an AMP blueprint, right? Like you cannot come in there. There's this underlying assumptions baked into it. So like you cannot come in there and then I can't expect you to like walk into AMP and start treating patients the way that we do, or working with clients, I should say. So what we're actually kind of shifting focus on is like building out the clinical decision making process, and building out like, okay, like how do we take what we do on it, like our discovery calls are very intentional, right? They're to like get to this point. And then when they come in for a discovery visit, it's to like further that, and then the evaluation and all those kind of things. Because to your point, it's very hard to take it all out of your head and give it to
I
somebody.
know.
Yeah, so that's kind of what our big goal is for Q1. End of Q1 is to have that
Right.
kind of out. But yeah, it's to solve that problem, because it's a big thing. So it's like, how do we like get ahead of that, and knowing that we're going to be hiring and all of these types of things, like have a system in place where we can kind of teach this in a, I'll say systematic way, but like at least have someone like be able to like take this and understand the big picture and how to like apply the biomechanics to help a person and like all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if that exactly answers the question, but
Yeah, it's like it's this idea of not creating cookie cutter clinicians, but it's like, how can we map out almost these like frameworks in their brains to help them with clinical decision making, with understanding, not even in an algorithmic way, but it's like, if I'm seeing these things, then I want to look at these things. And it just kind of like goes down the rabbit trail. But yeah, I'm very excited for what you have coming. I think it's going to be awesome, and it's going to change the game, as I like to say.
I
So
hope so. Yeah.
keep me posted.
I will, for sure. But yeah, to what you just said, it's also important is like we have like let's say like a structured client journey. So there's a feel when you come to AMP, but that does not mean that every PT has to treat exactly the same way. So like, it's a very important point. It's like, we just need a way, like when a patient comes in for a session, how are we opening that session? Like, obviously, like my personality is mine, Monica's her, David is David. But the actual principle behind what we're doing, like, why do we like follow up with like what they did last session, what questions they have, and then like present to them what we're going to be working on today. Like, there's all strategic reasons why we do these things that keep a patient engaged. They let them know that we're, on their side, and that we're going to like be working through this together. And it gives everyone kind of like this clarity along the way. So it's like working within this system, like have your own spin on things, like all that is perfect, but still understand the principles and the frameworks and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, and just to point out, I heard you say a couple times there, understand why we're doing what we're doing. And I'm like, this is what I keep telling people. I'm like, you have to understand and start from the why. Even if you're a treating clinician, it's like, why is my boss asking me to go through these steps? And if they don't understand your why behind it as the founder, the leader, whatever it is, like they're just gonna like blow it off and maybe do it robotically or not do it all or whatever. So it's like, I cannot stress that importance of tying it back to why we are asking our teams to do these things. And so I heard you say that a couple times and I was like, I got to point that out. That was so good.
Yeah, no, it's super important, everything. Before jumping on with you, we had our marketing training, and our marketing coordinator was teaching us as the owners about like what she's learning with Google Ads. And the only reason I can know what types of questions to ask is because I understand the why behind I understand marketing principles, and I'm like, okay, I see why this headline worked and this one didn't work as well. Like, we can see all these things. So then I can at least know what questions to ask. Like, I'm not going to ever be the Google Ads expert, but like, I know what I'm looking at, and I'm like, I see why this was a winning ad, and I can kind of look through it. And then I see why she made these changes. I'm like, yes, cool. That makes sense. So I can like help her like in whatever way she needs help and all that kind of stuff. Same thing is just always coming back to like the reason behind everything.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. I could talk about why forever and ever and ever. But I do want to ask this. I want to shift gears to a different type of question, because this is something I've been seeing in my own kind of coaching clients, and even like at Genesis, as we've recently gone through a pricing increase. It's like, I feel like this is such a problem in the cash pay PT world, is pricing, because like everyone comes to the table with their own money mindset and their own backgrounds around money. And I definitely did. My family didn't have money growing up. And so it was very much like this thing of scarcity, and it's everyone just has these backgrounds that are forming their views around pricing. And then on top of that, it's like, then there's the whole insurance world that kind of sets value, or they attempt to, on what they're going to pay. And it's like, it just gets this whole tangled, jumbled mess. And so I want to get your perspective because you've told me before how you guys are priced. And so I wanted to kind of hear from you on how you even got clear on how to price your services, and then how does your team get behind it? Because that's something that I've navigated this year, is walking with my team through it and helping them to understand the importance of us raising our prices. And it's not so I can go buy a yacht in the BVI's. Maybe in 10 years I will, but it's not going to be tomorrow, and it's like, it's literally so we can keep showing up and providing this exceptional value. And it was harder than I anticipated this year. I'm going to be honest, walking that with my team and helping them to buy in, and obviously I can't force people to buy in, but it's like, that was one of the hardest parts of my job this year, was navigating a significant price increase. So I'd love to hear your perspective on all of that, because I think it's a problem that, whether you're a clinician and you're having these thoughts and this guilt, if you will, about high prices, or if you're a team leader or the business owner and you're having to make the decisions and you're hearing this stuff from your team, like, ooh, that's pricey. Do you think people are going to buy that? And then we're asking them to sell these packages and all this stuff. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, and I would love to hear like some of the struggles you guys encountered and how you guys worked through it. Yeah, it's a fascinating thing. But yeah, I think you said a lot of things that resonate there, especially like our own money mindset and how that comes into things. And that was something that I definitely struggled with early on. And you think about like why we're PTs, right? We get into this field not to make. I mean, if you're going into to be a PT to make a bunch of money and get rich, you made a mistake. But it's like, like it's because you want to help. You want to help people.
Misled.
Yeah. But you want to help people, right? Like that's the core of it. But yeah, so I started out like when I opened AMP. Even then, I was like thinking about prices like time. Like I'm going to be with a person for an hour. What's an hour worth? What can people afford? Like all of these things, and I'm like when we're trying to solve like big problems for people, right? Like, I don't know if that actually like makes a lot of sense. Like I can't promise a long-term outcome and then also be like, we're going to go session and worry about session to session and all that kind of stuff. Like, no, I got to think about the outcome. And that was kind of like what like the first major shifts I had on it is like, I stopped thinking about like what I was charging for a session. And I started to think about what we're actually delivering for the client and the problem that we're solving. And we literally talk about it as like changing someone's life. Because if you think about like what people are coming to us with, like these are people who are trying to avoid life-changing surgeries. And like, of course, I don't want to paint the picture like every person who comes in with that goal, like we're performing like, miracles over them and all that. Yeah, like that's when the woo comes out. No, like, but there are people who are considering like a back surgery. And they're like, I'm just trying to get back to running and or whatever. And you look at their lifestyle and all these things and you're like, well, there's a lot of things here that we can work with. So like, are you open to trying that out and seeing, So like when I think about it from that perspective, like I can help someone avoid surgery, get out of chronic pain, return to things that they never thought they'd get back to. Is like, how do you put a price on that outcome? And I also think about, like I talked about this in our internal newsletter. When I think about like revenue numbers and having like profitability to like support your team and all that kind of stuff, like these are opportunities, right? These are opportunities for our team to develop skills, to like make more money. There are opportunities for my family to do the same and all these types of things. So it's like you got to stop thinking about the time and all that kind of stuff and like the transformation that you're actually doing. And then like you have to actually believe in it. Like if you don't believe in it, then you're going to never feel good with any price, right? Yeah. And what I can tell you too, if people are resistant to changing price, I don't know if this is your guys' experience, but when we started, we actually just discounted everyone because we had no idea what we were doing. And then we changed our prices 3 times in like pretty much like a year time frame. And we didn't have any drop off, no drop off at all. Right. It's like people like, okay, now we have like a huge track record. So it's a lot like our team sees it. So it's like not a big deal, But I can totally see like when we're hiring 2 PTs right now, like the first time they're going to have a conversation with a patient, like you're going to see them sweating a little bit and like all that, no matter how much we practice and all that kind of stuff. Like it's natural. Like I totally get it. But yeah, I think once you start to like dissociate the dollar amount and stop thinking from your perspective and just think about like how you're actually impacting this person's life.
Yeah.
Like to me, that perspective shift is where it kind of starts. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. I'll share kind of what was hardest for me this year. I mean, even just as I'm reflecting in this conversation, I'm realizing what this thing was if I'm going to significantly increase our pricing for the first time ever. I mean, I had raised my pricing in the early years, but then it had been 2.5 years since we had changed any pricing. And guess what happened in those 2.5 years? Shit hit the fan. Okay. So that happened, first of all. So now we're fast forward to today, raising prices significantly. And, as I was picking up on it wasn't pushback, but it was like concern from my team. And I would hear things like, well, I don't know if people will pay this, or how am I going to sell a package at this? Or, I'm already dealing with a little bit of like retention problems and this is going to make it harder. And at first, I'll be honest, I was like, in my head, I'm like, what do you care? Like, I'm setting the prices. Like, you're just treating the patients. And I had to honestly, because that didn't help anything, I had to honestly take a hard look in the mirror at some point and be like, have I trained my team to know their value? And I realized like I really hadn't. I spoke into them and I was like, you guys are the best. Genesis is so great. And like all of that is true. But I had never really put in the time and the work and the effort to help them see that in themselves. And then also to kind of give them the tools to talk through some of these conversations and have these conversations with patients who are going to have objections. And so it came back to like, it was on me, and like that's always like the dagger to the heart. But as soon as you can see that and like put your ego aside and be like, you know what, like it's my job to help these people succeed and do the work and show up and help them believe in themselves, believe in their own value. What can they bring to patients? But also like, what am I providing them to be able to do that? We have like our skills library and like we have each other to ask, but like, what am I actually doing to give them these frameworks? And both for treatment, but also talking to people and talking to patients and quote, selling, which everyone says is a dirty word. And it was this revelation, honestly, this year. And that it was hard because I had to be like, this is on me and that sucks. And what am I going to do about it? And then do it, And so that was just a whole thing. But we are through the other side and we didn't have drop off. We are coming in like normally November, December is our slowest time of the year. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but it's like we're coming into that. So we're prepping mentally and all the things and also trying to stay ahead of it. And it's just so many things. It's so many things in business, Shaun.
100%. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And I think too, like even in that, like seeing that there's no drop off, right? Like it's such like a powerful thing. Like when a patient's just like, oh yeah, I totally get it. Like, yeah, I get why finally you're raising prices. Like, cool. But for real, like think like a clinician, like someone said that to me, I'd be like, oh wow, like they value what I do that much, Our big Q4 focus for the reason you just said about like, slow time and all that is like our Black Friday promotion. And October, like we have put a ton of effort into like getting like the back end all set. And like we send out like these like personalized letters to every single person about like why it's beneficial for them. And like even seeing like when it comes to our CRM, like I know when like our team sees, like I get excited when I see it, but when people are like excited for the sale, I can't wait. I can't wait till next week when the sale starts. Like people are literally saying, I want to give you thousands of dollars because you guys have changed my life. Like that's how I interpret that. Like, so like even to just see that, like that just validates like what you're doing. Right. And it's like the dollar amount, like, yes, it's cool, but like, it's also like, just know like that the meaning behind this is exactly that. It's like you are a person is trusting you to guide them in this process. Right.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to,
Yeah. Gosh. What a wild ride this whole business owner thing is. And just people in general and learning all the things about humans, movement, communication. Man, just it's so many things. Well, Shaun, I always like to end my show whenever I have a guest with a little fun rapid fire this or that. So some of these may be trick questions, so don't panic. Or do panic. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I wasn't prepped
Okay, so
for
I'm
this.
just gonna
I don't like
go
surprises, so it's all right. Okay.
oh no, you can do this. You can do this. I believe in you. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the list. Here we go. Internal rotation or external rotation?
I'm like, you need the external so you can have the internal. So I'm gonna go with external rotation.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, homebrew coffee or coffee shop coffee?
Oh, I'd go homebrew. Yeah.
Oh, really? What type of
Yeah.
coffee do you make?
Yeah. Well, I like to get the beans and like just like let them sit in the thing. I don't even know. I just like trying different things, So yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Coffee connoisseur.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
Okay. Okay. Running or lifting weights?
Running's my sport. We'll go with running. We'll go with running.
I know.
So you
Okay,
can't do
that's
one
fair.
without the other, though. All right.
I know. This is why I'm
This is
putting you in
hard.
these
This is
positions
all
'cause
right.
it's funny. Do it for the humor. Oh, that's and you just signed up for a marathon, right? Did I see that?
I've been training for it. Yeah. December 6th.
Ooh. Ooh, that's
Right after
coming.
my birthday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Yes. Same. Hands down. Easy. Decisions off of intuition or data?
Data.
Oh, man. I go with intuition, but that's just who I am. I can't do it.
I have that has been an active thing I've been working on is like I naturally like an analytical like buyer type and like moving away from that. Like I'm much better now, but like data is always the way I'm going to gravitate.
That's fair. I'm learning. Okay. Relative motion or orientation?
I'm going to go with relative motion.
Okay.
Just fire some people
Okay.
up. Yeah.
Yes. Narrow or wide ISA?
Narrow. I mean, that's me. I gotta the superior ISA.
I love it. Yes, the superior ISA. Work in the business or on the business?
Oh, on the business. Yeah.
Yeah. We could have guessed that from you today. Okay, last one. Compression or expansion?
Oh, compression. Yeah. Everyone's so afraid of it now. The pendulum swung so far.
Yes.
It's like you need the gains. Like, come on.
Yeah, you do. You need the gains.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, that wasn't so bad. You did so good.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming. I just loved talking to you, and I know that the listeners are going to as well. So thank you for sharing your story and for answering my tough Q&A questions at the end. And where can we find you? If you can let us know, where can the listeners find you and what do you have upcoming and all the things?
Oh, yeah. So Instagram would be the best place. I believe it is my name. I think it's Dr. Shaun Astorga. There's some periods like in there somewhere.
We'll link it.
Yeah. What do we have upcoming? So we're running our final cohort of our mentorship program, AMP Blueprint, as it stands. That will be, we have some free webinars that are coming out to like kind of signify the launch in November, and that'll be starting in December. And then, like I mentioned, a little while ago, we're going to be working on a big shift to our educational side. I shouldn't say big shift. We're going to shift to our educational side in our offerings there, changing our mentorship program up a little bit. Those are the big things.
So exciting. Well, we'll put all that in the show notes and everything so people can find you easily. But thanks again. I can't wait to keep reading about internal rotation and compression and feet on your Instagram. And I will say, I want to throw it in there. I did go through your mentorship program, the current one as it stands, which you're having one more, and I loved it. So I'll just put my own little drop in the bucket there, tell people to check it out and join for this last round. But yeah, thanks so much. And thanks to the listeners for being here. As always, if you found this episode helpful or inspiring or even just funny or educational or whatever it is, I always love it if you'll just screenshot and share it to your stories, tag me. It literally makes my day whenever I see that you're enjoying the show. And my DMs are also always open. I love answering your questions. So don't be a stranger. Ask me anything, anytime. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and let's change the game.